Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the home of Nasi Lemak and also the home of the Westports Malaysia Dragons. This week, the Dragons welcome their rivals, the Chang Thailand Slammers, who over the last 48 hours have enjoyed the scenery of Malaysia, of Bukit Bintang, of Lot 10 and Monorail, and of course, the very famous MABA Stadium here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Yes, the Chang Thailand Slammers, they defeated the Jobstreet.com Singapore Slingers last week, and they'll be very keen to defeat the home team this week, the Westports Malaysia Dragons, to make it 2 wins out of 2. But the Dragons, they'll really want to bounce back after back-to-back defeats to the defending champions, the Indonesia Warriors. Can they do it? Hello basketball fans, and welcome to the ASEAN Basketball League Season 2013. You're with me, Ben Ibrahim, and my co-commentator for today, Andy Whitelaw, as well as Lenora Lau, who's our courtside reporter, live on Fox Sports. And Andy, let's get stuck into it really quickly. The Dragons and the Slammers both have similar numbers. They both lose the ball on turnovers. Very high percentage of losing the ball on turnovers per game this season.
That's a good point, Ben. We've got two teams here who love to run. They love to run the basketball. In the previous game, the Dragons conceded 16 turnovers to the Warriors. So deadly. They just cannot concede points that sloppily. In Jakarta, 21 turnovers. So Coach Ariel knows what has to be done. He knows what they need to work on. Rebounding will also be a crucial factor. We know how well Charles has done for the Slammers.
Well, speaking about Charles, he is the leading rebounder and defender for this season. But let's recap about what happened last week to the Dragons when they lost to the defending champions on their home ground here at the MABA Stadium. And Andy, it could have gone either way in that game last week.
Yeah, the Dragons had a lead, and what was so disappointing was the silly errors, the lack of rebounding. We mentioned the turnovers. Here's Mario Wusang. He had a fantastic performance for the visitors, as did John Smith Jr.
Well, John Smith Jr., he really kept them in the game. As you can see there, he was electric, telling his players, yes, we can still win this, because in the second quarter, they were almost down by double digits, and you would have probably said at that time, yep, the Dragons, if they continue this momentum, they would have won the game, but Daniels had other ideas.
As did Thomas in the fourth quarter. How crucial was that basket? Daniels was the MVP. Thomas imposed himself, and here's Tautua with 2 crucial free throw misses.
Well, here Tautua misses 2 of his shots. If you can't hit your opening baskets or your free throws here, well, it's bread and butter issues, isn't it?
And Cedric Bozeman set up Patrick Cabahag, who's usually reliable, but misses right under the basket, and that could have turned the tide for the Dragons.
Well, very disappointing stuff for the Dragons, but we must credit the Warriors. They shut out the Westports Malaysia Dragons on pure hardcore defense. And let's look at how it translated into the standings. The Dragons dropped down to 4th after 2-2, and the Chang Thailand Slammers, even though they're at the bottom, their confidence is growing, Andy.
It is growing and growing. They got a great win against the Singapore Slingers in their previous game, and let me tell you, they are fired up today.
Okay, let's throw over to Lenora, our courtside reporter, and let's see what she has to say.
Thank you very much, Ben and Andy. Today's game is going to be something where 2 teams need to prove to themselves and also to their fans. KL Dragons, they need to bounce back from 2 disappointing losses. And as for the Chang Thailand Slammers, they're currently last in the standings, as you know. But they did manage to get out their losing streak. They won against Singapore Slingers. And today, I saw their practice session over yesterday. And they look very comfortable, confident, and united. Now, KL Dragons, I managed to get some word from assistant coach Shogi, and he said the one person they need to watch out for in the Slammers is point guard Bagyon. Last game against Dragons, 12 assists, so they're going to try and deny Bagyon anytime on the court. Now we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back to Westports Malaysia Dragons versus Chang Thailand Slammers on ABL.
Underway here, Guga trying to impose himself against this opposite number, Baguillon. The score is 5-2 to the home side, and here we have Edwards, the standout performer in the previous game, losing out.
I must say here, Andy, this game is hot and heavy, very fast-paced game. Like you said earlier, two teams that can run at each other, but both teams have a very similar strategy today, which is the pick and roll.
Yeah, both teams love to run. Baguillon's going to be pivotal for the Chang Thailand Slammers, and I'm just interested to see if the Dragons can improve on their rebounding. Chris Charles is such an influential player for the Slammers, both ends of the court, and if they can combat him effectively today, they've got every chance of their first home win.
Well, Michael Earl, he has improved big time on his shooting when he was with the Bangkok Cobras last season, and Guga gets things underway for the Dragons.
Cedric Bozeman had a little trouble with his fouling in the previous game, sets up Loshi Fai nicely there.
See what we saw there, Andy? Very good pick and roll. Very quick, very precise. That's what Coach Ariel will want. And here they come again, the Malaysia Dragons.
There's a good-looking break there from the Dragons. There's a fast pace at the beginning of this first quarter. And so far, the Dragons have rebounded more successfully than last time out there.
Well, Andy, I must say, they must be very fired up because there was a lot of dropped heads in the dressing room last week after the loss against the Warriors.
Guga breaking for the Dragons, launches it to Cedric Bozeman. Bozeman marked by two Chang Thailand Slammers, and that was the game plan. Stop Cedric Bozeman.
Well, can they stop Cedric Bozeman? Because he is one of the quickest athletes you'll see on the court. And we see here a pass from Loshi Fai. Let's see if he can set up the system.
Edwards inside, lovely spin move at the lay-in.
Well, the big men are going to have a big say in this game, isn't it, Andy? 6'9" Gavin Edwards versus Chris Charles, 7'1", but the Dragons have to keep Charles out of the paint.
9-4 the score. You mentioned the big men, but what about Baguillon? He has been hugely influential and impressed me so far this season. What a superstar this guy is. 32 years old. They're quite a young team, the Slammers, but he's such a leader on the basketball court.
Well, he's their very own John Stockton. He leads the league in assists, an average of 12 assists per game, and he can really set it up.
Yes, he can. Here he is on the ball from the baseline. It's that man, Charles, with the lay-in. 9-6.
Slammers haven't really found their groove yet, but they're getting there. They're going.
Solid rebounding from the Slammers there, and Charles launches an attack to Earl. Earl puts it up, rebounded by Charles, who's drawn the foul.
Well, Charles have drawn the foul, Andy, but remember what I said. Coach Ariel's tactic, keep Charles out of the paint. We might have to play, or they might have to play, pick and pop. It's not easy. He's a big man. He loves to get in there, and it's really hard to get him out. So the tactic, the strategy this quarter, keep him out of the paint.
Well, Ariel might have heard you. He's brought in Tautua, who's an energetic player who struggled with injury, but his energy can really lift the Dragons, and he plays some solid D. He could be intending to put Tautua on the big man, because he can leap like a salmon.
I'd love to see that matchup, to be honest. Big man to big man.
Is Guga giving the orders, the captain. She fights to Bozeman. Bozeman's got Tautua in support, but finds Edwards inside. Edwards goes for the lay-in. Here's that man Baguillon we were speaking so highly of just moments ago. He can dominate a game. He reads it so well. That is vintage Baguillon, finding Earl with the pass. He drew in 3 Dragons defenders with him, created the space, and Earl's unlucky not to score.
Well, I must say, the system that the Slammers are playing are very good at the moment, but they just can't execute their shots, and it's basket. Coach Joe Jellybean Bryant having kittens on the sideline to the referee. Nothing new.
He's claiming that the Dragon stepped out of play, I think, there, Ben, but they're calling a timeout.
They're calling a timeout, and they're just going to re-strategize because it's 11-6 to the Westports Malaysia Dragons, and we're just going to go for a very short commercial break. Don't go away, right here on Fox Sports. We're just over halfway in the first quarter where the Westports Malaysia Dragons lead the Chang Thailand Slammers 11 points to 6. And Cedric Bozeman, Andy, he's got a chance to put a bit more daylight between the two teams today.
Here he is from the free throw line. He was looking nice in practice, sinking them with aplomb, I have to say.
But they don't, sometimes they say practice does not make perfect, yeah?
Well, indeed, he missed some crucial ones in the previous game, but the Dragons collectively weren't firing as a team. Here's Baguillon outside. He's so adept at passing, he seems to have such a range in his game, which is why he nailed 13 assists against the Singapore Slingers.
Well, he is their playmaker, he is their leader on the court, but they've really got to execute their pick and roll, or those pick and rolls, much better, because they did it very well in training over the course of this week. Ooh!
Tautua showing that spring in his step. Shifai puts up the 3 from way outside. Fortunately for the Dragons, it was rebounded by Cedric Bozeman. Cedric Bozeman with the 3. That's how it's done, Ben.
That's how it's done, and that's what they call making your shot. Cedric Bozeman gives the Malaysia Dragons a lead, and the Slammers, they'll really need to really set it up again, work to the big man, get it to Charles, and get the opening man. But the Dragons at the moment really going and posting up on the defense.
Yeah, it seems that Coach Ariel has had a word in their ears in training. They need to be sharper on those defensive boards.
Great rejection there. Can't make their shots, Andy. Slammers are struggling with their shots.
Moana Tautua. We spoke about him before the game, and this isn't even a fully fit Moana Tautua, but so strong, so energetic. I just feel he gives something extra to the Dragons.
He's got a dodgy back, which he injured during the preseason, but Coach Ariel says he's day-to-day in terms of his condition.
Now, speaking to the Slammers in training, what they want to work on is their shooting. That man we just saw who put up the shot, number 18, Fernandez, has just been brought. He's a new acquisition for the Thai team, and he can shoot the ball.
He can shoot the ball. Look at this, Andy. The Dragons bringing on Chiwei. And I spoke to Coach Ariel about this. He's a part-time player with the Dragons, but he said, I need to bring in Chiwei because Chris Charles is too big.
Yeah, Chiwei has not seen a lot of game time this season, but it's interesting Ariel doing what he sees fit to stop the big man, because let's be honest, if you don't do anything about him, he can run you ragged.
That's a travel call, Andy, and that was the right call because we thought Chiwei was going to shoot, but he went for it, and too many steps.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of overexcitement being on the basketball court. Chiwei, of course, not usually a starter for the Dragons.
That's what you call rustiness, my friend.
It also got Jeffries as well, and Klahan was taken out in favor of Kong Koom by Jellybean Bryant. Chang Thailand Slammers pride themselves as a running team, but they also are up for the fight. Speaking to some of their players in training, if it does get physical, they're prepared to mix it with the Dragons. So it could get interesting at the moment. The home side leading by 10 points, 16-6.
Look at that rebound. Great rebound by Chris Charles there. And his rebounding, an average of 15 rebounds so far this season, that is going to keep the Slammers in the game because they haven't started well, but it's not over just yet. Don't forget, the Dragons, the Malaysia Dragons, they have a tendency to get super complacent when they're in the lead.
That they do, and it's been a letdown to some of the great basketball that they've played at times. They just need to find that consistency and keep off with cool head. Speaking of cool heads, Chris Charles nailing down both free throws with ease. Barn to Bozeman. Back out to Barn. Barn can be influential. And the star man Bozeman. Tautua with the screen. Out to Barn. Barn puts up the three. Rebounded by Li Wei. Running the shot clock, slowing it down, Barn, but here's Tautua. Retaining possession of the basketball, the Dragons. Tautua drives in. And that looked like it could have come off Charles, but it's Slammer's ball, Baggy on with it.
Yeah, I thought that was the right call by the referee. And oh, we have contact.
Tautua's feet were planted, no charge called. Good D from the Dragons, Dragons ball.
Well, that's very, very good technique there because it's all about having the right stance when a player is coming at you. So full credit because that's quite the tough part about playing the referees. You've got to be in your stance and you've got to show them that you know what you're doing in terms of positioning and in terms of intention.
Jellybean Bryant bringing in Gogar. Tautua puts up the shot. Rebounded. Now Baggion looking to break. Baggion with the layup. Oh, that's a great block from Tautua. Good D.
For 1 minute there, Andy, I thought it was a goaltend, but no, the referee made the right call. Okay, we've got another timeout here, and yes, Coach Joe Jellybean Bryant, he'll really want to revitalize his Chargers, set up a play, because Andy, even though they're not making their shots, they're still in this game, 16-8. Let's look at this here, Baggion. Yes, you thought he'd make this basket, but oh, ever so close.
Tautua proving, I mean, he can jump, as we say, like a salmon. He can dunk it, but at the other end, he just provides that something extra for the Dragons in terms of rebounds. I like his energy in the paint, and he's having an impact already.
Well, he's having a great impact, but he doesn't want to go too early, too soon. Don't forget, he's got a very, very dodgy back. I spoke to him many times this season, and all the time he says to me, I'm 60%, but I'm still ready to go. So that's his heart talking. But in this game, you've got to be very, very careful, because when you've got a very, very dodgy back, it is pretty much minute by minute that you've got to look after yourself.
You know, I was speaking to one of the Slammers earlier on, and he thought Tautua might not play today, that they might not risk him, because they thought that perhaps the Slammers weren't big competition, but they're showing the Slammers respect today, as they should, on the back of that win against the Singapore Slingers.
Very good point indeed, but let's talk about the Slammers, because they really need to get back into this game. And I personally think they need to work Dossum into this game, because he's got a very, very good hand. His average field goal percentage is 49%, Andy.
Yeah, he's one of the local players who's really come good under coach Jellybean Dry, along with the influence of the elder Bagyon. You've got a couple of young players like Tong Sri who can shoot the ball well, and it's nice to see how well these young players have been integrated. They don't just play their import. Boseman outside to Barn. Pass to Lee Wei.
And that's a great rebound by Lee Wei. That's going to lift his confidence, that's going to lift his mood, and that's going to give Coach Ariel something to think about to leave him in the game a little bit longer, because it's about coming up towards more pressure situations, handling those pressure situations.
Bagyon running the clock, and that will be the first quarter.
Okay, so that is the end of the first quarter. The Malaysia Dragons lead. We're just going to take a very short commercial break, but don't go away. It's the Dragons versus the Slammers live here on Fox Sports. Second quarter about to start live here at MABA Stadium between the Malaysia Dragons and the Chang Thailand Slammers. The Dragons lead 18 points to 8. And Andy, is this the point in the game where Coach Jellybean Bryant brings on Jonathan Fernandez, the man who used to play for the Air Asia Patriots and the man who just joined them literally about 48 hours ago?
Yeah, well, he's still integrating into the team, getting to know his teammates. He's on the court as we speak. He's had a couple of opportunities to show his prowess from outside, yet to score, but he's been brought on for his ability to shoot the basketball. They haven't got a lot of strong shooters in the side, though.
Well, he's got a track record in the ABL and in the PBA. When he starts well, when he shoots his first basket, shall I say, he's on fire. If he misses his first basket, his psychology goes into play and says, really shatters with his confidence, Andy.
Yeah, well, we've seen that similarly with the Dragons, haven't we? When the first one doesn't go in, it can really rattle you mentally.
Well, I would love to see the stats on how many missed shots the Cobras have had, because they've set up some beautiful plays, but can't connect with the basket and get the points. Oh, that is a foul on the Slammers, and that is a pushing foul. 2 shots to the line, and Ban Sin Ui, the man from Penang, 5'9", averages 5 points per game, 2 rebounds and 1 assist. He will have a chance to put 2 points on the score. Good shot. Very, very good technique there. So Andy, you've got the stats right in front of you. What does the numbers tell us? Apart from the score, that is.
Well, we spoke about Fernandez and the fact that he hasn't quite hit the mark with his shooting, but collectively the Slammers have been disappointing from the field, only nailing of their field goals in comparison with the Dragons, who are on 38%, which is actually a little low for the Dragons. The Dragons pride themselves on their shooting. The Slammers certainly need to step up their accuracy, but inside, of course, they have the strength that is Chris Daniels. Charles.
Basket, that is. Basket, Andy, and that's gonna change the mood of the Slammers. They can work it like that again to be good. Oh, turnover. Very similar to last week. Bagyon on the attack.
Bagyon setting it up nicely there. Dawson misses, but Charles, so influential in the paint. I think Edwards could be the man to stop him. He can match him physically. Here's the replay. Again, Tautua, huge.
That's a goaltend with a big capital G.
You gotta love it.
Okay, Lenora has some news for us. Over to you, Lenora.
Thank you very much, Ben and Andy. I just spoke with the assistant coach of the Slammers, Jose, and he said in order for this core to work, they really need to reduce the turnovers and make those open shots. So back to you, Andy and Ben.
Very good point that Lenora brought up. It's all about making your shots. And I asked Coach Brian, will you bench a player if he's not making his shots? And he said to me, Andy, well, I'm not going to bench you if you don't make it. I'm going to bench you if your confidence is weakening and you hesitate to take the shot.
Good point. I mean, speaking to the Slammers players and asking them what they think of Coach Brian, he is a player's coach. They cannot speak highly enough of him. He knows when to be serious, he knows when to be fun, and he has a fantastic relationship with his players as individuals and as a team. Some of them, all that needed to be said was, do you want to come and play basketball with Coach Jellybean Bryant? And they were there in a heartbeat.
Well, we spoke about Jonathan Fernandez earlier. Coach Bryant having an earful in Fernandez's ear, giving him a big hug and say, come on, boy, you're going to get some shots a bit later, but I need to save your energy because he's still not game fit, Andy.
He got a hug and a pat on the bum, and hopefully his confidence can rise from it. There's a mentality among the Slammers when somebody's having a bad game or makes a mistake, you encourage them, you know, you have to. You have to keep up their spirits, because if their heads drop, they're not going to make those shots.
Well, hugs before screaming. Yeah.
Everybody has their style. There's John Ng from outside. He's got his style. Tautua loses out on the rebound to Charles Hill. Bagyon on the break for the Slammers. Dawson. Solid D from John Ng there.
We have a foul here. And let's see what the referee calls it. Yep. It is a holding foul, and we are going to go to the basket.
A little too solid from the Dragons conceding.
Check that. We're not going to the basket. Inbound pass by Slammers. Ooh, so close. Good rebound. Basket, Andy.
Basket indeed. Bagyon showing his experience now. We spoke about the youth in the Slammers team, but when their heads drop and there's a little bit of a lack of confidence in their shooting, Bagyon is the man to inspire them. He's so consistent there.
Very consistent, Andy, and they've got to watch him off the fast break. John Ng for the three. Couldn't quite connect it that time. Now Bagyon, he's going to set something up.
He's got Woodapong Dawson trying to create some space for himself, but goes in alone. Very smooth.
That's what you call swish. Great shot. Told you he was a leader.
And there's now just 1 point in it.
Okay, we're just going to go for a very short commercial break, but don't go away. It's the Dragons versus the Slammers right here on Fox Sports. Rebound by the Cobras, and they can set it up here again through their inspirational leader, Florent Bagyon, who is just electric in the last couple of minutes, Andy.
Electricity is flowing through Bagyon's hands. Look at that. It's so typical of the man, how he drives in and then, oh! Woodpong Dawson with a 3.
Da Sum, as they say in Thailand. He can shoot, this boy. Third best three-point shooter in the league so far this season, Andy.
He's been one of the real highlights for the Thailand Slammers this season. And that can inspire them to start hitting their shots, because he can be very efficient from outside.
Very well said. And look at the scoreboard, Andy. 22 apiece. That's going to creep into the confidence of the Dragons, who are being labeled as the complacent Dragons over the last couple of weeks.
We are all locked up at 22 apiece, with the Slammers gathering momentum. Bagyon inside, shoots. Solid rebounding from Gogar, back to Bagyon. Matching them up, almost man for man. You know what interested me, Ben? In the first quarter, both teams had identical rebounds, which is something that they both need to work on. 14 turnovers for each team in the first quarter.
That is megally high. Don't forget the Indonesia Warriors scored off 19 Dragons turnovers last week, and that's what won them the game. Oh, good basket. Bagyon, like we called him today, electric, Andy, and inspirational. A pleasure to watch.
Yes, he is. They call him Freudini because the way he gets in and out of the paint unscathed. And you know what, it's a fitting nickname.
What's that, mate?
Edwards tries to stuff it. He's drawn the foul from Sektira.
And that is a pushing foul. We'll have 2 shots to the line to the big man, who's 6'9", a man who used to play in the NBA D-League. He's had 16 points per game this season, 11 rebounds and 2 assists. Average field goal percentage is 53%. And he doesn't make it. He's looking at himself and his team. He said, what is going on? I really need to get calm and composed. He takes a deep breath. He steps to the line. Referee gives him the ball.
He's a man who goes about his business quietly but very efficiently.
Not so efficiently there, Andy.
No, spoke too soon, but he was the standout performer in the previous game against the Warriors, getting the double-double.
I gotta agree with you on that one. Had a solid game.
20 points and 11 rebounds. When all eyes were on Cedric Bozeman, he was the man who stepped up.
Patrick Kabahag, he'll really want to make his minutes count. He's the type of player, when he gets in his groove, he really goes for Bozeman for the rebound. Still waiting for a decision.
I think he's called a travel there on Cedric Bozeman.
Very interesting. Tough call, but that's why we call them the referees, to make those tough calls every week.
Bagyon. Now that is technique, Ben.
That is technique. That is perfection. Looks like the Dragons, Andy, they've got to change their game plan. They've got to shut Bagyon down and stop giving him so much open space. I know he's only 5'7", but he can hit those baskets.
He's having a field day, isn't he, Ben? I mean, space is his ally in this instance. That was some great work under the basket from Charles, but the combination of little man, big man, stuffs it.
And that's what you call a great setup, and very unselfish. He just releases to the big man Charles, who goes straight to the basket, as we see. Oh, I'd love to see that. I could watch that all day, Andy.
That is combination basketball at its best. The link up between Bagyon and Chris Charles is admirable.
Now, Andy, what do the Malaysia Dragons need to do? Because look, Coach Ariel, he's pretty mad at the moment because from starting so electric, having a 5-0 lead at the start of the game, they're now 7 points down going into the half.
Well, the positive for the Dragons was that the Slammers just weren't hitting their shots in the first quarter. From the field, they were only 6%. They've turned that around now, and in the process, they've taken the lead. I think with so many young players, maybe their heads started to drop. The new boy Fernandez wasn't making any of his shots. Bit of encouragement from Brian, some wise substitutions, and it's all turned around for the Slammers.
Well, I think they need to bring on Mark Jeffries. He's an impact player. He can really go toe-to-toe with Baguion in terms of speed, energy, and pace. So even though Coach Ariel likes to save him towards the third quarter, fourth quarter for that energy impact, I think maybe now is the time to experiment a little bit, Andy.
Well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Is it the time to experiment? It could go the other way, couldn't it? And I think Baguion's so experienced. You've almost seen two men on him at times. He draws them in, creates the space, and then swings the ball to the outside. And it's working to great effect.
Somebody ready to go back door?
Really trying to listen to what Coach Jellybean is trying to say to his guys. He looks pretty happy. He's not giving birth to any kittens. And yeah, because he is so passionate.
So let's go with the van over here, right? All right. Start 1-4 low. So come up into the horn. Don't roll.
And yep, he's telling his players right now what to do. He's happy with them at the moment because, I mean, not just because of the score, because with the way they're playing, they're executing those pick and rolls much better compared to the first quarter.
Yeah, I think the Slammers have really picked themselves up with some style as well. The combination play, the link up, and as a playmaker, Baguion is up there with the very best of them in this league.
Let's go! Let's go, Tigers! Let's go! Let's go, Tigers! Let's go!
Edwards inside, up against Charles. And Tautua battling for that rebound, but losing out to Charles.
They just can't hit their baskets at the moment, the Dragons, Andy. You know, and you're going to try to out-rebound a guy like Charles. Got to do a little bit of a better job than that. Oh, excellent play. Really, really good setup there. And Baguion is happy with himself. And the referees, they're going to call. Yep. Let's look at this again. Good play there. Good play. And there was contact. 2 shots.
So much style in his range of passing.
Okay, let's go over to Lenora and see what she has to say. What's the gossip, Lenora?
Okay, I was over with assistant coach Shogi, and he said they just need to concentrate on the defense and just lessen the open shots for the other team. Back to you, Ben Andy.
Thanks very much for that, Lenora. Cedric Bozeman tries to get things underway. They really need to make the next shot. That's the Malaysia Dragons, that is, Andy, because it's slipping away a little bit, even though it's only the second quarter.
Yeah, in the first quarter we saw them break into a lead, and there was an air of complacency about the place, but there was nothing complacent about that. Edwards showing great technique and an air of smoothness to nail the 3.
I can't agree with you more. If in doubt, just shoot it. If in doubt, just shoot it, they say.
Goga for the Slammers, showing anything you can do, Edwards, I can do just as well.
He must have heard us. He must have heard me because he just shot that and it good shot. And it's going to be Dragons ball.
Holding foul called by the referee. Goga did not like it one bit.
Well, you never do like these calls when they go against you, do they?
Yeah.
What guy likes these types of calls? I don't know why.
Bozeman puts up the 3, rebounded by Charles. Edwards fancied a piece of it, didn't get any of it. Baguion setting up the play. Goga puts it up and gets it.
Really, the Slammers are really showing the Malaysia Dragons how to shoot in this quarter, and full credit to them. They have shot very, very well. excellent there by Tatua just to push his body in, get the tip in. Well done, Dragons, but still.
Levitation from Moala Tautua. He's shown that at both ends of the basketball court.
And yeah, I've got to say something. They've got to do a better job on Charles, both offensively and defensively. Just stay with him. You know, don't let him out of your sight.
Yeah, he's having a lot of joy today at MABA Stadium, isn't he? And it's been the same story every game he's played since he joined because of that injury to Dwight Howard. And he is very, very welcome in Bangkok.
Didn't you mean Justin Howard?
Justin Howard, yeah.
Dwight Howard. You've been watching too many Lakers games, bro.
Good point, Ben.
Well, this is something that we didn't predict, or most of the fans did not predict, coming up to the first half. Let's look at this again. Yep, Tautua, they go for it. They just can't work the board in this quarter, Andy.
Yeah, they've got to work those defensive boards or Charles will take it all day long, won't he? And the interplay between Baggion and Charles has been the Dragons' undoing so far.
Dasso. Oh, that's a surprise. He usually hits it. But maybe fatigue and a lot of running is kicking into his game. But he's a young man, 22 years of age, 6'5", and ever so improving every week. And Coach Brian did say he's a pleasure to work with. True professional, this guy.
Yeah, he's a talented guy. He scored 7 in his previous game, but he got 16 against the Heat. That was his standout performance. Now he's averaging 9.5 points a game. But with the way this one's going and the momentum with the Slammers, could fancy his chances of getting a superior total today. Here he is on the ball, out to Goga, who mishandles.
Well, that's not something you see every day. Coach Brian clapping, even though he loses the ball. But like Coach Brian always tells his team, it's all about encouraging plays, encouraging that positivity, and bringing up their confidence so they can make their shots.
Shifai. Again, Tautua's there under the basket. He's been influential, one of the Dragons' best performers today. The Slammers need to keep this up, keep up this momentum. Don't let any complacency slip into their game, because they have the Dragons on the ropes.
They do. Full credit to them. They have been the team of this quarter, and they hopefully can continue that momentum into the next 2 quarters to make this a fantastic game. Dragons, on the other hand, need to make their shots. Bozeman, basket.
Delightful from Cedric Bozeman. Reverse lay-in, very nice acceleration into the paint. They need some more of that then.
Yeah, very much need some more of that. I just love watching how the Slammers play. They really set it up very nicely, and it's like an orchestra, picking and then popping out, and then look, they're really celebrating like the game is over. They had the Dragons on the ropes, if I could borrow your line. And the Dragons are going to go into this half thinking to themselves, how did we let that slip away? Well, in my opinion, you didn't make your shots.
Yeah, they started off well. The first quarter looked solid for the home side, but this could be a blessing in disguise for them. Previously, what we've seen from them is taking a lead, complacency setting in, and then they let it slip. There will be words said by Ariel Vanguardia at halftime, and we'll see a different Dragons team come out in the 3rd quarter.
Okay, Lenora has more news for us. Over to you, Lenora.
Thank you very much, Ben and Andy. I'm now with the coach of the Chang Thailand Slammers. It is Coach Joe Bryant. Now, Joe, okay, earlier on, the Dragons had you at 8 points, but in the 2nd quarter, it completely changed. What did you say to your boys?
Well, I tell them that we was playing well, just defensively. I think they had 18 points and we had 8 points maybe. And I said it's just a matter of us making some shots. Just keep what you're doing defensively, and then we'll start making shots. And as you see in the 2nd quarter, we'll start making some baskets.
That's right, we did see the difference. Are you going to do anything else that's differently for the second half?
That's a good question. No, I mean, we're playing well. I'm just going to tell the guys they're doing well. You know, we played a great 20 minutes, actually a great 10 minutes, and we just got to play a good 20 minutes the second half. I'm not sure who I'm going to start. I might start the same team that just finished this, you know, just finished the half. But, you know, we're playing well, so I'm happy about it.
Thank you very much. In other words, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. Back to you, Ben and Andy.
Thanks very much, Lenora. As Coach Brian said, it's all about positivity and communicating that positive energy to his team. And Andy, it's translating on the court and on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to admire how cool Coach Brian is. And when you're that cool, calm, collected, it translates to your players. And at the moment, they're playing with ease, with a freedom. And we're seeing them hit their shots that we didn't see in the first quarter. Maybe a little bit of nerves.
Yeah, nerves it is. Well, hold your horses, Andy, because we're also a bit nervous. We're just going to go for a very short commercial break. But when we come back, more from here at the MABA Stadium, live on Fox Sports. It's halftime here at the MABA Stadium in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, where the visitors, the Chang Thailand Slammers, lead the Dragons at halftime 35-28. And Andy Whitelaw, my co-commentator for today, hats off to the Thai team for really outplaying the Malaysia Dragons in that second quarter, purely through good execution, through great shooting.
Yeah, they really found their rhythm, led by their very influential playmaker, Baguillon. Freudini, they call him in the locker room, and he showed us exactly why. He waltzed into the paint time and again, and Chris Charles showed exactly why we pointed him out as the big danger man for the visitors.
Well, remember, Andy, at the start of the game, we mentioned that the coaches, all three coaches, assistant coaches Shogi and Coach Ariel, and his other assistant coach said that we really got to keep Charles out of the paint. But in my opinion, the Dragons have not done that well in that department in keeping Charles. I remember saying to you during that quarter, just go with him. Offense and defense, stay with him, but you've got to put a good play on him, otherwise it's a mismatch. And if it's a mismatch, well, yeah, let's look at the highlights here, because we'll see some of those mismatches. And we start here with Bozeman, who's having a very 50-50 game.
Yeah, that was Wei, who doesn't often play, but he's had an impact, well, in that first quarter particularly. Now that's Baguillon showing that combination play. Tautua has at times been very, very good for the Dragons in both ends of the basketball court. But Chris Charles, what a figure he is, and Baguillon with the technique that sets a great example to the younger players. Baguillon again driving in. It's so unpredictable just what he's going to do with the basketball. That's Wudapong Dasum.
Well, Dasum hits his shot there, but if you look at the Slammers, Andy, they just, not only that, Baguillon making a shot, but if someone misses the shot, they're very quick to go in for the rebound, whereas you just see the Dragons just fly in. Tautua and the other big man of Edwards, look, they're just looking at that ball going into the basket, so they've got to be a bit more aggressive on those rebounds. Look at that, Charles, easy basket.
That was a super jam, but he just had the freedom of the paint. There was nobody there to stop him. Tautua seems to be the only one taking the initiative when it comes to rebounding and getting his body in the right place. Now Edwards is a man you'd look to do that, but again, the space and freedom Gogar's allowed in the key is just not acceptable if you're a Dragon.
Well, that was a good layup and drop shot there by Bozeman, and he'd be very disappointed with his second quarter performance, Andy.
Yeah, he's capable of better. Tautua there, putting in an important layup, but it needs everybody on the court to step their game up in this third quarter. Jeffries hasn't had too many minutes on the basketball court. Here we're seeing Barn working well with Bozeman, out to Barn, and Barn, who's one of the more experienced players, putting it in there for Wei to score.
Well, look how much space they've got here, Andy. Baguillon, yep, all the way, and goaltend. But if you look at before the goaltend, there was just so much space that Thailand had to maneuver with.
Yeah, too much. And it's something I'm sure Coach will be addressing in his halftime team talk.
Look at John, and they're getting very frustrated. Baguillon, the player of the second quarter, really pulling the strings, and good shot there. So like we said, we sounded like a bit of a broken record in this quarter. Great shots, and making all their points, or most of their points, is the visitors in this game, Andy.
Yeah, well, if you look at their field goal percentage, it's 35% the Slammers in comparison with the Dragons 30. Now, they've really turned those stats around from the first quarter where they couldn't hit a barn door.
Well, let's not forget, a couple of weeks in Thailand, Andy, it was the Slammers who led at the start of the game, and then the Dragons managed to turn this around. Do you see that happening in this game in the third quarter?
Sorry, Ben. I think it will work in the Dragons' favor. They're going to lift themselves up, and I think we're going to see a different Dragons side.
We're going to see a very different Dragons, and yep, the Dragons now stretching, trying to find a little bit of energy again, because the third quarter is where they're very dangerous in a bad way, because last week against the Indonesia Warriors that have had a relatively healthy lead, about 9 points, and then they just lost it in the third quarter simply because they were complacent. But before we talk about that, let's just go for another quick short commercial break. When we come back, more here at the MABA Stadium in Kuala Lumpur between the Malaysia Dragons and the Chang Thailand Slammers. It's the visitors here who lead at the MABA Stadium in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. The Chang Thailand Slammers up 35-28 over the home team, the Westports Malaysia Dragons. And Andy, we've spoken about it time and time again in the halftime report that the Dragons really need to turn things around and start making points and really not let this run away from them and play a bit more solid defense with their opposition today.
Yeah, they need to step it up in the paint in their own half of the court. If you look at the stats, defensive rebounds 20 for the Slammers and just 13 for the home side. Now that's not good enough.
Not good enough indeed. But you know, it's very funny about the Malaysia Dragons. They either start super well and then fall off, or against the Chang Thailand Slammers, when they played them in Thailand on their home court, they started badly but they recovered extremely well. And in that second half, Patrick Kabahag had a very good game, and he is back on the starting five for this quarter, Andy.
Yeah, I remember him knocking down 4 threes in a row. He was hot as it gets. And if they can get him firing, he could have a big impact on this game. And just watch Cedric Bothman, watch how he responds to being down by 7 points in this third quarter. He's the man for the big game.
Oh, what a basket, Andy! Look at that, he just went to it and just tricked them, used his outside hand, and in it went. That's why we love this great game called basketball, ABL season 2013. Oh, turnover by the Dragons. And that's a foul by the Dragons. And we will go to the line. Dossum to give them back that 7-point advantage, an opportunity to give the Slammers back that 7-point opportunity. Now, Andy, sorry to interrupt you, but Dossum has gone a bit quiet from the free throw line towards the end of the second quarter, and now here.
It's 48% from the free throw line, and he's kind of proved it there, scoring 1 from 2.
Okay, Lenora's got some news for us. Lenora, what's news?
Okay, I managed to speak with Coach Ariel for the Dragons, and he was saying that in the last quarter they had a lot of wide open shots and they lost the ball a lot of times. So this time, what they need to do is get more of the wide open shots and concentrate the defense. If they can do that, they'll be able to score and make a difference. So back to you, Ben and Andy.
Speaking of wide open shots, Woodapong Dasum had one and launched an air ball. It was not pretty, Ben.
Very clumsy here at the moment at MABA, Andy. Tautua with the ball. Jeffries, foul. So Coach Ariel, let's look at this again. Jeffries goes to the basket. Yep, contact. Good call by the referees. And Jeffries, who doesn't get many opportunities to score, he'll go to the line for 2 shots, Andy.
Yeah, off camera right now, you see the Slammers in a huddle discussing tactics. They're a very united team.
Very united team. And that's why Jeffries doesn't get much game time sometimes. He's very rusty, but he was brought here from America to be more of that impact player, that 6-man.
Dragons cutting down the Slammers' lead. There's a long way to go in this basketball game, Ben.
It's even longer if you don't make shots like that.
Baguion taking his time, waiting for the right moment to strike. So good at creating space for himself. Go back to Baguion, who puts up the 3. And this time it's rebounded by Tautua for the Dragons.
Good stance there by Tautua, and he just positioned himself right, and he just slowed it down a bit and that gives the Dragons the opportunity to set up and score. Ooh, clumsy turnover.
That was loose from Bozeman, and the Slammers break with it. Darsom.
And that is Thailand's ball. They'll have an opportunity for an inbound pass. They've got to guard Charles here, Andy. Look at him. He's Achoa trying to... Bozeman.
Darsom out to Sektira. Sektira is getting physical in there, Ben. But the Dragons win it back. Cedric Bozeman drives in and stuffs it.
Now that's what you call, Andy, a slam dunk. And that has brought the crowd to their feet. And it's a 3-point game.
Finally a bit of momentum coming the Dragons' way. They've, as he said, got to watch out for Charles in the paint. Jeffries has given him a bit of space there. What a block from Edwards.
Great rejection, but great basket.
3 points, way down and living it up in three-point land. The man of the first half of this game, Baguion, proving again his caliber as a top-notch basketball player.
And gets the hoop and the horn. Patrick Kabahag, he has found his momentum. His teammates are fired up and he will go to the line. Oh my God, well done, Patrick. He's the type of player that needs to play minutes for the points to come, and it's coming slowly. But let's not take anything away from Flo Baguion and the opposition Slammers playing very well from the shooting, from a shooting game perspective.
Yeah, Patrick, once he nails one, you never know what kind of streak he might go on. He had a huge game in Bangkok in the reverse fixture, and you just feel, having seen the way he knocked down that three, this could be an afternoon for Patrick to shine.
Now this is what they call in sport, Andy, a ding-dong battle, and let's hope for a ding-dong battle all the way to the end. Michael Earl gets the rebound and tries to set things up for the Cobras. Baguion now. Oh, excellent basket by the big man. That was class.
Jeffries is up for this. On the ball. Good pass to Edwards. Edwards is dominated by Chris Charles.
See that, Andy? The Dragons just let Charles just run away a little bit. You give him about 1 meter or two, he'll get there with his long reach and he'll put the ball in the basket. He's punishing the Dragons at the moment.
Cedric Bozeman trying to pull his team back into it. Patrick Kabahag and then Tau Tua. That's some aggression.
That's aggression in the sense, I don't want to lose this game.
This is our house, says Tau Tua.
Exactly. Gotta watch the shot clock.
Tong's three back to Baguion. Baguion showing that combination passing to Earl. It's a loose ball and it's an easy stuff for Chris Charles.
Don't let Charles out of your sight. That's the way to do it. Because Charles is just getting a lot of open, easy spaces. But I must credit the Slammers, Andy, for getting and setting up their pick and rolls quite well. The only thing they're not doing is making their shots. Can the Dragons hit it? And they do.
Yes, they can. 4 points in it. The Dragons not lying down, but Charles is the commander in the key. You can't give him too much respect, but you can't give him too much space either, Ben.
That Tau Tua is trying to go with Charles. Open again, open again. Oh, good stuff by Chris Charles. just puts it in, and ever so reliable. And you know he's just a replacement.
Yeah, they'll be wanting to keep hold of him. 18-point average per game.
And that is a timeout. And we're just going to go for a very short commercial break. If you're just watching this, don't go away, because it's ding-dong stuff right here on ASEAN Basketball League Season 2013 on Fox Sports. It's a two-possession game here at the MABA Stadium in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Welcome back. You're joining me, Ben Ibrahim, Andy Whitelaw, and Lenora Lau, live on Fox Sports. It's the Slammers, the Thai team, the visitors that lead 47 points to 43. At the start of the quarter, they had a 7-point lead, and that's now been whittled down to a 4-point lead for the visitors, Andy. And Andy, because the Dragons are being much more aggressive, especially in the paint.
Yeah, they don't want to slump to their second home defeat of the season. I mean, two defeats on the bounce for the Dragons. They need this W.
Very much so, because if not, well, chaos meetings will be held, crisis talks and all of the above, all the unpleasant stuff that surrounds professional sports.
Jeffries matching up Baguillon, some good movement in the key by Tong Sri, trying to create some space. Baguillon uses him to great effect with a dummy, sells it.
That is arguably the best play of the day, Andy. The way he tricked his man, the way he really sucked them out, sucked the defenders out, and just went for the basket. He is an inspiration, and we have a foul. And Edwards will be happy with that. Big smile on his face, but inbound pass for the Malaysia Dragons. And Patrick goes to the bench, and Guga, team captain, comes on. They're really working the perimeter, the Dragons. Bozeman, Guga didn't have a chance. Edwards to the basket. And there was contact. And there was a foul. And that is a holding foul. Edwards really needs to make these baskets, Andy, because he'll be slightly disappointed today with his defensive game, because he's the big man of the team. He's supposed to guard Chris Charles, the Thailand team's big man, a bit better, but you know, like we said earlier, they're giving Charles a lot of simple points.
No, you're right, and you could say that ultimately Chris Charles is going to get points in the paint. Inevitably, it's going to happen. But you can't give him so much room, so much space. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, Ben. But 50% field goal, free throw percentage for Edwards. 1 from 2 there.
Every time you read a stat, someone misses a free throw line. Okay? I'm just kidding. Thailand go underway again.
Baguillon enjoying himself at MABA Stadium today. Puts up the 3, rebounded by Cedric Bozeman. Now Bozeman can be influential for the Malaysia Dragons. Denied by Michael Earl.
Great rejection there on the former Atlanta Hawk man. And Bozeman looking extremely frustrated, Andy. That is another holding foul, but this time it's Arden, the home team. And just as the home team is getting some momentum, Andy, they just let Thailand sort of just nudge in front a bit.
Chan Kwahan with the free throw. Listen to that crowd, Ben.
Well, he looks too fresh, if you ask me, Andy. Not much sweat on him, but maybe he's not just quite warmed up yet. We're coming to the end of the third quarter. My God, time flies when a game is very exciting, and this game has lived up to great expectation. Very, very close, Andy.
The Slammers 57% from the free throw line today, and that will help their statistics. 6-point lead for the visitors.
Dragons just need to keep it simple now, Andy. Don't be too fancy, just make it 2 shots. Oh yeah, 2-point shot, I say.
Cedric Bozeman just crowded out there. John Eung had made some space for himself on the outside. Bagyon biding his time, running the shot clock with Guga for company. Sends him the wrong way. Plays with a smile on his face.
14.
Big smile on his face because they've got the ball back. And yes, the Slammers were accusing or telling the referee there was intentional use of the feet there, but the referee didn't call that. So
would have been harsh. I think
would have been very, very harsh.
If somebody launches it at your feet, you know, it's very difficult to do anything about it.
Yeah. So Coach Ariel now trying to really tell his players, look, just do the simple things right, Andy. You know, because still the third quarter, there's still time, they're still being competitive. They just need to tighten up, especially in the shooting, especially in the paint, and especially drawing up those pick and rolls.
Now, what do you thought of Cedric Bozeman today? Do you think there's a danger of him trying to do too much by himself? We saw an example there of him being crowded out, just maybe trying to force the issue. Had John Eung in oceans of space on the outside.
Well, that's a very good question, because in my opinion, he's got to play a bit more of that assist man role, that Florent Bagyon role. Yes, because, you know, the Thai team said, we are going to mark him and we're going to guard him, but he's got to use that psychological opportunity. Okay, you're going to guard me, you're just going to go at me, but I'm just going to pop it out to my teammates and they can do the business of scoring. He hasn't done much of that. He's very good point. He's carried the team, and, you know, it's quite telling because he's not being so effective at the moment.
But you wonder if it's in his makeup. He's a scorer. That's what Cedric Bozeman's all about. 21 points per game, just 4.25 assists per game, which tells you everything you need to know. He's the main man. He likes to play his basketball in and around the cookie jar and get those points.
Well said. Cobras, not the Cobras, sorry, the Slammers. A lot of Cobras in this team, former Cobras in this team.
Coach Bryant physically pushing Fernandez towards the basket. They're telling him to get involved.
Chris Charles with the air ball and Bozeman on the attack. John Eung to Guga. Good shot.
That will do nicely. The home fans roaring their appreciation. Guga, the captain, leading by example for the Malaysia Dragons.
And the Dragons here really need to man up a bit better. Look at the way they spin the ball. Very well done. Very well done. Fernandez. He'll be happy with that.
Yeah, Fernandez matching the Dragons' three. He's brought in for his shooting prowess. Guga tries the same trick again. Doesn't come off for him this time. And now the Slammers can break through Bagyon, the main man, number 17.
Look at this, Andy. John Eung trying to guard Fernandez. Tautoa trying to guard Charles. Bagyon trying to suck him out. He uses his speed. Oh. Almost there, not quite. Look at Charles, he's amazing. Well done by Tatua, aggression.
We spoke about energy and Wala Tatua, and that just embodies everything he's about on the basketball court. You know, he's got a great leap, he's exuberant, he wants to retain possession for the Dragons. And it's a Dragons ball with Bozeman. Edwards at the buzzer.
Doesn't count, it's a 5-point game. It's still the Chang Thailand Slammers who lead this 52 points to 47. We're just going to go for a very short commercial break. Don't go away. More here on Fox Sports. Welcome back to the MABA Stadium in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. The game between the home team, the Malaysia Dragons, against the Chang Thailand Slammers, who lead 52 points to 47. And Andy, in my personal opinion, Coach Ariel, what he needs to do to tell his players to get back into this game is to bring the right players on the court, guys who can make the shots. And, well, for the Slammers, they just need to continue business as usual because they're playing well. They played really well this game. Yeah, they've impressed all around. If you look at their shooting, it's vastly improved from that first quarter where there was perhaps some nerves set in. You know, they got their first big win against the Singapore Slingers, and they're looking for 2 wins in a row here at MABA Stadium. Well, a lot of nervous hands and feet here at MABA Stadium. Not just the fans, but the 10 players on the court, because both teams don't want to lose, Andy. Dragons just need to play to their strengths and get their shooters on the ball. They haven't done that enough in the third quarter. Yes. The visitors have a chance now to set it up through playmaker Florent Baguillon, a man who won a championship with the Slammers in season 2011. Charles open. A great rebound by the Slammers. Chanachan Flahan with it, showing himself to be more alert in the paint than the Dragons. Now, how many times have we seen this today? A lack of energy under the basket. I mean, the defense has to be more alert and more adept at these defensive boards. That's a foul. There's contact. Yes, referees called it holding. Now, we spoke about the similarities between these teams before the start of the game. Westports Malaysia Dragons very much thrive and pride themselves on their shooting. But if we look at the numbers, field goal percentage 35 for the Slammers and just 32 for the Dragons. 2 points in general, 39% to Malaysia's 34. And in three-point land, 28% for the Westports Malaysia Dragons, 27. So shooting must be sharper. I think, Andy, you said it. Nobody could have said it better than you just did. It all comes down to making a basket, and the Dragons have been very disappointing in making their shots today. And this Slammers team have improved tremendously since they were assembled at the start of the season, and they didn't have a chance for a preseason, but they've come a long way, and they can only get even better.
There's that man Cedric Bozeman driving into the lane. It comes out to Patrick, who can shoot, and shoot well.
Well, they need more of that. They need more of that and consistent of that, and not let the Slammers back into the game. Now they've got to really go individual marking, play a good defensive system. There's no point just scoring.
Patrick Cabahug on 75% from three-point land today. He's having a good day. They just need to get him the ball.
They've got to be careful with that, because sometimes this is where aggression and hesitation gets the better of you, and careless defending like that sends big guys like Charles to the line. And this man, his average field goal percentage is 44%. Pretty decent for a big man.
Oh yeah, he's got no problem from the free throw line.
He's a really exciting player to the ABL this year, Andy. Arguably one of my favorites.
No problem. Charles again being influential for the Slammers, racking up those points.
Well, a chance to push it out to an 8-point lead with over 8 minutes to go. Oh, look at that aggression and the rebounding there. Good spin move by Earl, and it's a basket. Well done to the Slam. They are really exciting, Andy. I really enjoyed watching them today, I must say.
Yeah, they've been great. I mean, look at the dynamic between the players. Chang Thailand has started to impose himself more on the game. He's a good physical presence, strong, plays some solid D, and it's great to see how well these young Thai players are really asserting themselves in this league.
Well, Coach Joe Bryan said he's got a lot of Thai players, many of them from the military or university students, and they're integrated quite well. But good shot, Patrick.
It was a long two from Patrick. He was actually 0 for 2 before that shot, faring better from three-point land than he has been inside. Back on to Charles. Charles, it's getting messy. But Chang Thailand using all his strength, with the ball coming out to Earl. The referees are going to bring that one back. Calling.
Well, the tempo of this game, Andy, has just gone up. Everybody going for it like a hot potato. But like I said earlier, they've got to be careful, because if you just go for it, yep, it's like Coach Bryan making a change, but if you just go for it, you have a tendency to maybe carelessly give the ball away, which is what you don't want in these last 7.5 minutes.
Guga, the captain. He had Baggy on for company, but he got it to Cedric Bozeman. Chris Charles on the rebound.
Coach Ariel telling his players to set it up. He's put up the pick and roll sign. Set it up. They know what they have to do. They've worked on this, on training all week long, Andy.
Patrick from outside. Rebounded by the Slammers. Now they can break with Baguillon. Behind the back pass to Sentira, who's denied by Cabahug. Bit of frustration from Patrick.
Excellent back pass there by Florent Baguillon. Fantastic.
Patrick not happy with what took place in the offensive end for the Dragons. Conceding the foul. A bit frustrated, Ben.
Now look at his face, Andy, if you can see it. It's just out of our screen now, but he's looking extremely frustrated. Good shot there by number 9.
Sentira, the Slammers are 56% today from the free throw line.
And Sentira is a great player. Check his statistics out. 71% effective from the field goal line. This boy can shoot, even though he doesn't have a lot of minutes.
Cedric Bozeman.
Okay, Dragons really need to just keep it simple now. Don't make big shots. Save your tickets.
Baggione up against Guga. Chris Charles creating the space. That's the pick and roll.
Look at that.
Baggione inside. Trying to jump Rahan. He's an animated character.
Looking back on it, Andy, that's an animated character indeed. But looking about it, that's a fair call. That's a fair call. They took too many steps, and yeah, the referee made the right call there, even though Coach Brian is giving him an earful and pointing at the referee, Andy. But we're just going to go for a very short commercial break. Don't go away. It's the Good Dragons and the Slammers. The home team really trying to make a comeback. They're 9 points down with over 6 minutes to go. And now they are down by 11 points. A little bit of a mountain to climb here, Andy Whitelaw.
Yeah, they cannot let the visitors slip away from them. They've got to keep them within touching distance, because we know how effective they can be when they get on a streak. They just need to find that streak.
Hasn't been working in the last 3 games, including this one. Now is the time to turn it around. That's foul. And the referee calls for 2 shots.
It's good to see Moala Tautua getting so many minutes on court. There was a rumor that he wouldn't even be fit enough to play this game, play any part in it.
Well, he's done well, but Tautua has done extremely well, and a man with a dodgy back. But he's played quite a few minutes today. But as we saw at the start of the program today, he didn't make shots from the free throw line against Indonesia. He's got to make these ones.
Not a good start, but 45% the Dragons today from the line. They need to improve on that, because the Slammers have taken many of their gifts with a 56% success rate from the line themselves.
Well, Andy, they're much better than that from the free throw line. Usually they're quite effective. Towards the end of last season, they were almost in the high 70s from the free throw line. 10-point game.
Baggione, who seems to be enjoying himself today in Kuala Lumpur.
Best play of the game.
Moala Tautua comes out with it, breaks for the Westports Malaysia Dragons. That was a real mess under the Dragons basket. Ultimately, the Dragons broke away. It'll be a foul.
Scrappy, wasn't it? Really scrappy stuff. Like they were trying to head down to their pain, like it was a 100-meter race. But great to watch, though.
Oh yeah, we got 2 teams who love to run it, love to play down low, but when they create the space, the Dragons must capitalize and get the ball to their shooters.
done, Patrick Kabahag. Okay, we have ourselves a game here, and it's been an exciting game, but Patrick has just made it a little bit more interesting.
Patrick's 75% success rate from the line today, and that's just given the Dragons a glimmer of getting back into this game, but Bagyon says no.
No, we want this win. We worked hard for it.
Patrick using evasive maneuvers to get away from Sektira there.
Well, they're desperate, aren't they, the Dragons? They really, really just want to get more points. But, I mean, we've spoken about shutting down Charles. That will come. But Bagyon, you just can't give this man space. Yes, he's quick, but you just got to go with him, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah. They've also got to watch out for Edwards. He's on 4 fouls. He's got to be careful. But Patrick Kabahag clawing the Dragons back into this contest.
So they have enough time to mount the comeback. It's only 8 points, but shut Bagyon down. What's going on there? There's contact, but Bansin Oi and Bagyon not taking it personally. What's the call here? Oh, he's saying, is he saying intentional? This is a very interesting call here. Coach Ariel is stunned at the decision. And Bagyon cheekingly laughing off the court there, saying, I got it.
Home fans goading these Chang Thailand slammers. They do not want to see the Westports Malaysia Dragons slip to a second home defeat on the bounce.
Klahan is on some
Jonathan Klahan.
Well, Andy, it was a technical call. Like 2 shots and the basket, and they said it was intentional. Wow, interesting call, but let's give the referees the benefit of the doubt. Dragons running out of time here, Andy. They really need to get the ball back soon. I think Slammers will just be happy to work down the clock, even though there's a bit of time left. Shot clock.
Barn takes a tumble. Moala Tautua tries to launch an attack for the Dragons. Edwards back to Barn. Barn sees Cedric Bozeman, who has Michael Earl for company. It's Edwards on the top of the key. Barn drives in, tries to find Patrick. Bit of a careless pass from Barn.
That's a holding foul, according to the referee. And it's going to be Dragons' ball with 14 seconds left on the shot clock. So here's an opportunity for the Dragons to make it a 7-point game. Got to move quickly though. They're running out of time, Andy. Just over 3.5 minutes to go till the end of the game.
Edwards to Bozeman. Bozeman from outside. Rebounded from Edwards. And Moala Tautua getting the call from the referee.
Now Tautua needs to make it this time. Was a foul. Go to the line. %60 today from the line, the Dragons. funny that they really practiced. I mean, I dropped by practice quite a bit this week for the Dragons. They really worked on their shooting all week long. Lucky. Need that. That's a handy shot to go in. Need all your shots to go in now. Slammers just need to keep doing what they've been doing today, which is effective in the offense and defense. And a miss by Tatua there. An advantage, Slammers.
They spend a lot of time out on the running track, the Slammers. They are a running team, they're a young team, but this man on the ball, Baguion, looks like he could go all day long. He is having an afternoon and a half. What an assist again to Chris Charles.
And it's about to get a bit more challenging for the Dragons, and because Jonathan Fernandez warming up on the bench. And looks like Coach Joe wants to shoot this. And Edwards, he shoots it and shoots it well. 7-point game. Running out of time here, the Dragons. But comebacks have been done. Watch. Oh, gotta watch the fouls there by the Dragons. Baguion trying to run down the clock.
Oh! Julian Baguion with just a couple of seconds to go on the shot clock.
What's his numbers like today, Andy? Tell me his numbers. It must be scary.
He's been very effective indeed. He's got to be up there, Ben. He's got to be up there as one of the top scorers in the game. Certainly gunning for that MVP.
Number 7. Yep, that's Coach Dato Wira, the owner of the Westports Malaysia Dragons. He's invested a lot, especially with Dato Robin and Ruben Hanan Lingam. And I'm sure the owners will not like what they see on the floor today, Andy, and on the scoreboard, because the Dragons looking at their 3rd consecutive loss.
Yeah, it's not too bright for the Dragons. Baguion with 18 points to his name. He's been so effective today.
My player of the game. And I think most people's selection for player of the game. His shooting, his passing, the way he dictated the tempo, absolutely first class. And that's why he's got an ABL ring on his finger.
Yeah, he's got a winning mentality. He's been there and done it. And he's got the talent. I mean, some of his assists today, his range of passing has been sensational. And if you look at the Dragons, they haven't had a reply of their own. Guga hasn't been as influential as he can be. Barn has looked more effective in previous games.
Andy, check this out. Bozeman, if he hits this, it's a 9-point game. Looks like the Dragons really have to bring out that 3-point game to at least tie it to send this game into overtime.
It's not over yet, Ben. There's certainly some impact to be had from the KL shooters if they can get into 3-point land, but that's a 2. That'll do. And that's Cedric Bozeman.
Just got to watch it man for man. The Dragons got to go man for man and watch those fouls. Don't give Florent Baguion space. Don't give Chris Charles space. Gavin Edwards giving Chris Charles too much space here. That will be a Slammer's ball. Someone's injured here, Andy. Is it Baguion? And here he sees we go. Really trying to work it and go for it, and he slips. But referee says there was contact from Guganeswaran Batumalai, team captain of the Malaysia Dragons. And here we've got a timeout. Like you said, Andy, it's still possible for the Dragons to make a comeback. They're staring at a 7, well, they're down by 7 points. Could be done, but what do they need to do?
Patrick Kabahog, for me, get him on the ball. Get him into space. Bozeman, use that skill, that individual flair to drive in, swing the ball out to Patrick Kabahog. Get your shooters on the ball. Guga hasn't hit them today, but he's capable.
Very capable. So both teams at the moment, while the cheerleaders entertain the crowd, both teams' coaches really saying, okay guys, let's just, well, for the Slammers that is, let's just stick to what we've done all day. Shoot the ball, play the ball, and enjoy yourself. Coach Ariel said, look guys, we haven't had the best game. You know, let's put that behind us and let's really make those shots when it can. And I'll stress those words, making those shots, Andy.
Yeah, and this is where it comes down to, you know, thriving on that pressure and not letting it get to you. Baguion with that ABL championship, all his experience, national team player, is thriving in this environment. And you just feel sometimes it is about mentality. The Dragons need to find something. They need to dig deep.
Well, I'm going to say this again this week. I'm going to bet my house that he's going to make 2 shots. I lost my mortgage again, Andy. No wonder the bank manager doesn't want to give me a loan.
You're a secret property mogul. I hope so.
Well, maybe that's a good luck charm for the Dragons. My mortgage house loan. Well, he made 1 of them. Yes, we go for a timeout. And Andy, 1 minute and 41 seconds left. What would Coach Aria be telling his players at the moment? What kind of plays? Like you said earlier, they've got to work Patrick into the system. Okay, but can that be done? Because he's a bit, well, his confidence doesn't look the best, does it? You know, expression on his face, like, you know, he couldn't get quite those plays.
He's 50%, or 75% from three-point land today, but he hasn't taken many shots.
He hasn't played much.
No, he needs to be given the ball in space. Cedric Boseman, the star man, the top scorer, he needs to step up. This is where his experience and his talent can really count, while Edwards, often an unsung hero for the Dragons, can use his physical presence in the paint to get those offensive rebounds.
Well, maybe they just need to slow it down just a little, because they just move at 100 miles an hour, isn't it, the Dragons? And when they move at 100 miles an hour, there's a high chance that they might turn over the ball, as they did in their previous games. But I have to say, turnovers, a bit of an improvement today.
Yeah, it's 9 turnovers for the Westports Malaysia Dragons and 10 for the Chang Thailand Slammers. But when you get 2 running teams like this, who like to go down low and like to run it, you will have turnovers as a byproduct. It's inevitable, but I don't think Coach Bryant will mind too much if the score remains anything like this, with the Slammers looking at a second W in a row.
I don't think that counts. What did the referee say? Oh, he was... Okay, over to you, Lenora. She's got some news for us.
Okay. When I asked assistant coach Shogi, he was saying what they're going to do now is they're going to put full-on pressure on onto the court. So we're going to see if that's going to make a difference. Back to you, Ben and Andy.
Well, pressure, they need to press on the Slammers, but the right type of pressure. Don't give fouls away, Andy.
The worry, Ben, is as we just watched this 3, Charles on the offensive board, making it count. As we watch that unfold, Ben, the difficulty if the Dragons overdo it and try to force the turnover, that the likes of Baguion are so smart with his use of the ball that it will play into the hands of the Slammers.
Well, let's look at what we're seeing now. The Slammers, they're very excited. I think they're saying to themselves, we've got this, boys. A great victory on the road. And I must credit Florent Baguion for setting up the plays today, and Chris Charles, the big man, for getting those rebounds, being defensive, and most importantly, getting baskets in the paint, Andy.
Yeah, huge credit, and the way Coach Bryant has used his bench, because it's not just about those 2 players. They have shone very bright today indeed, but the likes of Chanachang Fahan has used his physique, played some solid D, Sektira, Goga. He's used the local players in conjunction with his imports to great effect. They really have a balance and a unity, this Slammers team.
Well, you know what Coach Bryant said? He said, look, put all your politics aside. It's all about Thailand basketball. And they're playing for each other today, Andy. And that's telling on the stats, on the scoreboard, and on their body language.
Oh, it's certainly telling, Ben. And at the start of the game, I was talking to one of the Slammers bench, and he said that they read on the APL website that they were predicted to come last this season. And let me tell you, that has got them G'd up. He described it as a slap in the face. Now their priority is to develop young Thai players, but don't think they don't want to win this and win big.
Well, Andy, it's going to be a tough one for the Dragons to win this one. Really needed to make those shots. And now the Slammers will be happy just to run some clock time down because it's a 10-point lead. Coach Ariel still thinks he can win this though. Good rebounding by Charles. It's the Charles and Bagyan show today, Andy.
Out to Fernandez. But they will call a timeout there. No, it'll be a Slammers ball. They had to stop the clock. Just 35 seconds to go in the contest. And probably the last man you would want at the line, Florian Bagyan.
So Flo Bagyan. Let's give them credit, Andy. They fully deserve this, and if they keep going, they could be pushing for a top 3 spot and really be playoff contenders, even though early days yet in the season.
Who knows? There's not been a huge amount of consistency even by the top teams in this league. Even home court advantage has proven to not have that much of an impact with the Dragons losing their previous 2 games, but if they play like this, the Slammers can take on anybody.
Well, it is the last 10 seconds of this ball game at the MABA Stadium, and it's going to be the Chang Thailand Slammers led by Coach Joe Jellybean Bryan and a multitude of local Thai players who will defeat the Westports Malaysia Dragons 77 points to 65. A great display of basketball by both teams towards the end, but towards the end the Slammers were the best team, not just in their scoring but in their rebounding, in their assists, the way they set up plays, and they drew out the Dragons attackers, Andy.
I think the biggest point I'm taking away from today is that the Slammers played the Dragons at their own game, and it was impressive. Let's get back to it after this quick commercial break.
The Chang Thailand Slammers make it 2 out of 2. They defeated the home team, the Westports Malaysia Dragons, 77 points to 65. You're with me, Ben Ibrahim, Andy Whitelaw, and Lenora Lau. And Andy, first class. The Slammers deserve that all the way.
All the way, Ben. They have impressed everyone here today at MABA Stadium. They played the Dragons at their own game. They had some individually sparkling performances, and they took the W.
Well, it was a basketball masterpiece, wasn't it? Great shooting by Florian Bagyan, great rebounding by Charles, and just great movement around the perimeter and like getting those rebounds and being in the right place at the right time by the local players. This is why ABL season 2013 is so exciting, Andy.
Hugely. What an engaging contest between two very similar styles, two running teams, and Florian Baguillon, a star, a superstar. And Thai basketball, judging by this, is really going places.
Well, where to for the Dragons now, Andy? It's now 3 losses on the trot, and crisis talks?
Crisis is a very strong word. I think they need to look at themselves, and again, they know what they need to work on. They were less sloppy on the turnovers today. They'll be pleased with that, but they didn't get the ball to their sharpshooters enough.
Well, shooting is where they're the most disappointing today, because usually shooting and running that fast break game is where they're very strong at. And they did say at the start of the season, we want to play a two-way game, offense and defense. But the execution is not bearing fruit, isn't it? But hold that thought. We're just going to go over to Lenora, who's talking to Coach Brian.
Thank you very much, Ben and Andy. With me, the winning coach and also team Chang Thailand Slammers. Coach Brian, oh my gosh, congratulations on your game. Now, okay, for the early part of the game, the Dragons really came at you with a lot of energy. So what did you do to actually hold them off?
Well, I think, we got more aggressive defensively. We got physical. We allowed them one shot. I don't think they got too many second chance points. That means offensive rebounds. Chris here did a great job, rebounding. I think in total, he should have had 30, but he had 27 rebounds. So I'm challenging him to get 30 rebounds the next match. No, but we did well. We played smart. We executed our plays. And, we got a great point guard and Froylan. So that was a great win.
Bagan was truly a magician out there. And Chris, he's the player of the game. Chris, you had 29 points, and out of that was 27 rebounds. Now that's crazy. When you came into this game, tell me which player was the biggest threat for you? Was it Bozeman?
He was one of the guys that obviously we have to key on because he can slash, he can do everything. But they have shooters. They have a big guy that got to bang it with Edwards. So. They have a great team all across the board. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Charles, and also Coach Brian. Back to you, Ben and Andy.
Thank you very much, Lenora. And yes, a double-double by the big man, Chris Charles, 29 points and 27 rebounds, Andy. Wow, hot! That's all I'm saying.
Steaming. What a statement he sent to the rest of the league. I mean, we talked about him being a late draft for the injured Howard, but as individual performances go, it's hard to pick between him and Baguillon, because the numbers, wow, that is a double-double of the greatest degree.
Okay, let's look at the statistics, because we're just going to look at the play of the day as well. But for the Dragons, their best player was Tautua, and yes, we see him there now. He wasn't so effective from the free throw line, but look at that, Andy. Tautua being aggressive there, but he couldn't do that consistently with his teammates here today.
Yeah, it's a shame that Tautua was trying to lead the fight, playing injured. Really, you would like his energy to translate to his teammates. They've got to get on those defensive boards, and offensively as well. Charles was effective at both ends.
Okay, we're just going to take a very short commercial break at the moment. But yes, the Chang Thailand Slammers has just defeated the home team, the Westports Malaysia Dragons, 77-65. Don't go away. Come back soon, right here on ABL Season 2013. Welcome back to ABL Season 2013. It's the Dragons who lose to the visiting Slammers. And right now, Andy, the Dragons need to go back home, look at a lot of film and say, how did we not make those baskets?
You have your disappointing days, Ben, don't you? But something they can work on the training court. And Cedric Bozeman was shut down very effectively by the Slammers today. We're seeing him stuff it, though, just as I say that.
Yeah, well, the plan was at the start of the game was for the Slammers to shut down Bozeman. I thought they did a pretty good job in that department. They started off well, the Dragons, though, in the first quarter.
Yeah, they started out great, and they've got some good victories so far this season. They're just in a poor run of form, and they're very capable when they get going. If we look at Tautua, I mean, he was one of the highlights today for the home side. They just didn't do those good things often enough. That's Guga from outside. He didn't shoot enough, but when he did, it was effective.
Well, one thing that I noticed here, Andy, Coach Ariel, he really likes to rotate his guards, Bansin Oi, Guga, Kabahag, and there's no form of consistency there. And guys like Patrick, they really need to play minutes, you know, to get points.
Yeah, well, here was Earl inside, and then again, Chris Charles proving how effective he can be on those offensive boards. The magic man, Baguillon from outside, loving three-point land.
I call him Dr. Florian because his execution, his knowledge, his style of play today, electric, and that is telling on the scoreboard. The Dragons 65 and the Slammers 77. So just a quick one, Andy. Can the Dragons bounce back next week?
Yes, they can. It's something they need to work on in training. They need to work hard and play to their strengths.
Okay. Okay, we've got some upcoming games coming up here on ABL Season 2013. We've got the Singapore Slingers versus the Dragons. And then we've got the Mighty Beermen who won last night against the Saigon Heat. They're taking on the defending champions, the Indonesia Warriors. And then the Warriors again, they go hard at it because this season is a very packed schedule. And they take on the Slingers who, well, at the moment, Andy, the Slingers are not playing the best of basketball. They're still there, but they're still the season dark horse, aren't they?
They don't want to come up against the Indonesia Warriors then, who are in some very inspiring form indeed. That could be a great game. I'm looking forward to that one.
Well, we are looking forward to more of ABL Season 2013. Tune in every Friday night and every weekend right here on Fox Sports. But for me, Ben Ibrahim, Andy Whitelaw, and Lenora Lau, we're just going to say see you next time. It's been a pleasure. Take it easy, folks. This is ABL Season 2013.